LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen here with life coach Linda Armstrong. Today is Friday, November the 22nd, 2019. It's 4 p.m. New York time, but wherever you are in the world, we welcome you to another episode of LOA Today, your daily dose of happy. And November 22nd is actually, well, it has a couple of significances. It's actually a sad day in American history, but it's also a day in my own family history because it was the day of my grandmother's birth. So even though she's been gone for many years, happy birthday, Grandma Thiessen.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. And so, you know, that's kind of that's a nicer way to remember November 22nd. The other one's a little bit more sad and somber, but we won't go to that one. We'll just stay with a happy one. So it's been a couple weeks because last week, Linda, you weren't feeling quite up to snuff, energetically under the weather. So it's good to have you back again. Thank you for joining me again. I appreciate it.
Right. So I'll start your appreciation rampage off with, yay, I feel good. I have a lot of good energy today. I'm ready to go.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
Love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I'll follow that one up by saying I'm feeling pretty darn good, too. I mean, it's been a good week. First of all, it's been a great week because we got all 5 shows in. This is like a record for November.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. There have been 4 or 5 shows that we missed because we had to cancel for, you know, like you having to be out. There was one time where there was a power outage. There was another time where Alex's neighbors had the police in, so she couldn't do anything because there was all this noise. I mean, there's just like these various things that have happened this month. So having 5 full days this week is a good thing. So I'm going to celebrate that. That's a good thing. Excellent. And also, we're coming up on the holidays. The holidays are starting to arrive. Thanksgiving coming up next week here in the U.S., and that's kind of like the official kickoff here in the U.S. of the holiday season. Mm-hmm. So yeah,
I could share that I'm excited that I've learned a new modality, access bars. I think I told you a little bit about it.
Yes, right.
I've been giving sessions to people all week and just loving it. So I'm really excited. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Especially when it's new and you're enjoying it and you have that combination together. That's like instant energy surge.
Well, yeah, and the feedback from the people receiving are just loving it. So
really? Oh, that's good. That's really good. So, and when people are being helped, that makes it even better. So excellent. Yeah. So good stuff happening. I like it. I normally will say something about the weather today. The weather here is kind of gray, but I can also find a positive in the weather, believe it or not, because it's relatively warmer than it's been. So I actually got to get out for a nice walk and was not feeling cold. It was great.
Yeah, really that's true, because it has been a bit warmer, and I'm really grateful for that because my husband's he's working on this truck that he's renovating, and a lot of what he's doing has to be done outdoors, so it's hard to do it. He painted this whole truck like a couple of weeks ago.
Wow.
So the good weather is helping that project to get to its completion.
Yeah, that's a good thing, too.
The good weather. I mean, it's cold, but it's just not, freezing.
Well, I can tell. I mean, you're wearing a sweater, but you're not wearing, like, the coat you had with the fur and so forth. So you're feeling warm, too, which is good. And plus, we're also doing something fun here, Louise and I, for Thanksgiving. Normally, Thanksgiving is where we go visit family or friends or something like that. This year, we're actually hosting Thanksgiving. And that's a nice shift for us. So you know how it is whenever you have people over, then it's kind of the kick in the butt to get the house cleaned up and everything looking nice. So everything's starting to look nice because we're having to get the house cleaned up. We're having to look good. We had a cleaning crew in today. And so everything, when you live in an environment where everything has gotten cleaned up and you're feeling better because of it, that just kind of carries over.
Yeah, absolutely.
So good stuff. All right.
Yeah.
And we don't really have a specific topic in mind today. I see Jeffrey has logged in, but we're still waiting for other people to log into the live stream, and I'm sure they'll be sharing stuff as they come into the door. But I see you got the cards going. What is that? Strengthen your gifts with your in a heart shape. That's a good idea. Okay.
Yes. So I was shuffling since we didn't know what we were going to talk about, and I figured, okay, well, let's see what the cards want to do.
Okay.
So strengthen your gifts, and I feel like it's perfect because I was giving you my appreciation of this new modality that I've been working with.
True.
And that's just another extension of the gifts that I have to help people to move forward in their life. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that is really strengthening it, adding this to what I do. So for me, that's perfect. Maybe
I'd say so. Yeah. But there's something I wanted to tell you about, too. I told you how I took a walk today, got out in the relatively warmer temperatures. And as I'm out there, usually when I'm walking, I'll try to do some kind of energy activity, some kind of, attract something or shift my mindset or do a little meditation or something along that line. And today I just kind of got into a mode. I don't even know how I started doing it, but I kind of got into the mode of wanting to just release any, because that's always like an ongoing thing, trying to release resistances that got built up that we don't even know are necessarily there. Mm-hmm. And I just decided, I don't have to know what they are. I'm just going to start releasing. So I just was walking along saying, I release this, I release, I release, I release. And I did that for about half the walk. Now, normally I walk for about an hour. So this is like, 30 minutes of doing this, which is fairly extensive, just continuously. I release this stuff. I release it. And I'm imagining it like coming out of my chest and out of my head. It's just like dispersing to the universe and so forth. And interesting, after about a half an hour of that, I was feeling really good.
Yeah.
Really, really good. Like taking kind of like as an example, the Abraham Hicks scale. You got the 22-point scale. It was like I went up 5 or 6 steps on the scale.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
Just by doing that one activity.
I love that. And especially because you said when we try to figure it out, we just keep ourselves stuck because our mind, it limits us like this, right? Mm. When you can just release, like you were saying, you don't have to know what caused it, where it came from, when it happened, blah, blah, blah. Because the details are what hang us up and have it like really hook into us. So just to be able to freely release and especially you said whatever was coming into your mind. So of course your soul is sending you, do this. Here's a good one. Here's a good one. Here's a good one. Right? It probably felt a little bit like that. Were you having to search for it, or was it coming?
No. Well, a lot of it was like you said. I wasn't being specific about any of it. It was just like release. But occasionally, thoughts were coming to my mind, and no, I don't want to go there. Release that. Oh no, I don't want to go there. Release that. It was that kind of a deal.
And I thought it was like release anything that keeps me from receiving. Release, whatever. We don't have to know what
that's good too.
Keeping you from receiving. It's just like I choose to let this go. Yep. And one thing with the access consciousness that I'm really loving is it's all about asking questions with not looking for an answer, because the mind. That's again when the mind makes everything small because we have a limited amount of information in there, which most of it isn't even our own. We just adopted it from outside of ourselves, right?
Right.
So you just ask questions like, how can this happen? Or a great thing, I think I even mentioned this once before, it's like just to say no matter what's going on, good or bad, how can it get any better than this? You just tell the universe. I've been doing that nonstop, and it's really fun for the good stuff and the bad. And you'll find if there's something going on that starts making you feel a little heavy and you're like, how can it get any better than this?
Yeah, right.
You instantly kind of lighten up, You
do.
It feels lighter. So if something feels heavy or light, you can usually tell the difference. So you want to follow the things that feel light.
Yes.
And sometimes it's just asking some simple questions.
It's interesting you should describe that phrase because it's somewhat reminiscent of a phrase that Cindy Chavez and I learned from Neville Goddard that Jeffrey actually quoted in the live chat yesterday. It goes, "Isn't it wonderful? Something marvelous is happening for me now." And I was using that as I was doing the releasing thing. And it became real. Because that's a phrase, "Isn't it wonderful? Something marvelous is happening for me now." I mean, it's something you can say and not really necessarily feel anything. I was really feeling it. Like, wow, it really is true. Something marvelous is happening for me right now. And I really believed it. And I said, oh, this is good. I like this. Let's do more of this.
I told you I put that on a loop and I listen to it as I fall asleep.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It's effective. It's amazing what it
produces. But even questions like, sometimes you get into a funk and you're like, you don't even know what it is. You can just ask, what is this? You can ask questions, not looking for the answer. You don't have to know the answer. Just ask in the universe, what can I do with it? Let the universe figure it out. How can I release this? Let the universe figure it out. You just ask a lot of questions. So,
and there's a certain power in that's essentially embracing the stuff that we find to be difficult or negative or unpleasant or whatever, embracing it long enough to let it go. Embracing it for the purpose of just, saying, yes, I see you, I hear you, you've done your job, move on.
Or even just asking, how do I let this go? It does not like you have to, the answer doesn't have to come right then. You're just putting it out there. Because if you give it's kind of like the way I'm learning it now, it's a little bit different than how I've learned it before, is that the universe is dying for you to ask questions. It's like your angels and your guides. They're dying for you to ask for their help, right? So the universe is dying for you to ask a question instead of instead of trying to figure out the answer, because when we figure out the answer, we block off all the unlimited possibilities. Because we decided somehow it can only be this, this, or this.
Right. Mm-hmm. And as you mentioned that I was thinking that was also part. I'd forgotten this. That was also part of what I was doing during my walk. Because literally, not only was I doing the phrase, "Isn't it wonderful? Something marvelous is happening now," and saying, I'm releasing. I was also thinking, I could be missing stuff to release. So guys, help me out. Help me release some of this stuff.
Cool. And you know what's funny about what I love about that phrase, because it makes me giggle every time I hear it, is I can't say marvelous without saying it like, who was it? Billy Crystal? You look marvelous.
Oh, marvelous. That's right.
From the Saturday Night Live.
Right.
Skit.
Yeah.
That word will only come out that way.
It's a good way to come out. You look marvelous.
Yeah, it makes it fun. It puts the fun energy in it.
Absolutely.
Another phrase that gets that for me too, and I used to use the word pivot a lot. I noticed I don't use it as much anymore. But to pivot your energy. Well, you ever watch the Friends episode where Ross buys the couch and they can't get it up through the stairwell?
Oh, okay.
He and Joey and what's her name? Jennifer Aniston's character. They're trying to get it up there, and like he's trying to get Joey to move in a certain way. It's just not working. He wanted to save the money having it delivered, right?
Right.
So he's like, pivot! So like, I can't say pivot without saying pivot.
Okay.
It just sticks in there. And again, it's one of those things that makes it fun.
Sure.
Because usually when I'm talking about that, it's like pivoting your energy or your thought from this thing to this thing, right? So what more fun than to say pivot?
Absolutely, yeah. Any way we can find to say these things to ourselves or out loud, if people are willing to tolerate it, that makes us feel better doing it. Go for it. Okay. Why not?
So let me read the description for this card.
What card came up again? Tell us again.
It was strengthen your gifts. Remember?
Strengthen your gifts. That's right.
Strengthen your gifts. So it says, examine what's important to your spirit right now and forget the rest. Focus especially on your talents and gifts and identify what you need to do to strengthen them. You can even ask, what do I need to do to strengthen these? It's just a question, right? Mm-hmm. Don't let the negativity of the world override or sabotage your commitment to yourself, and avoid drama-filled conversations that have a demoralizing effect on you. Protect yourself against wasting your divine energy on anything that leads to self-doubt, right? So again, that's even picking up groupthink or people that saying, oh, there's not much money in that. You shouldn't do that or whatever, right? Like, why? Nobody's interested in that. Why? Because you're not. Nobody's interested in that. Anyway, it says your divine energy is calling you to direct your energy towards strengthening your talents and gifts. Be aware of negativity that could sabotage your confidence. Quietly work to improve your talents and don't waste time on meaningless pursuits. But then it also says your divine invitation is to believe in yourself. Be faithful and consistent as you master your talents and be patient with the demands that they make on you. With your divine helpers working alongside you, your effort will be worthwhile in the long run.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. All right. It's a good reminder that even though it seems like the things that we do are meager, there's a lot of power back there. And the power may take a little time for self to kind of manifest, but it's there and shows up.
And you know what? While I was first shuffling, a card flew out of the deck, and I picked it up. I put it on my desk. So I'm like, I don't know. But then this card, it seems like there could be a reason for it. So the card that flew out of the deck before was change tracks.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So change tracks. And again, as I thought of myself, I'm like, yeah, well, I just added something new and I'm really loving it. And it's kind of taken me off on another direction. Mm-hmm. So that's interesting, right? But let's see what it says about it. So it says, on a soul level, you're entering a major learning curve and it's time to change tracks and raise your consciousness to a higher level. Avoid overthinking and instead pray for your divine energy to guide you successfully onto your new path, leaving what no longer works behind. It totally ties into your morning and what I was explaining before about asking questions, right?
Right.
So your soul's path is changing because you're ready for this growth and this freedom. View all aggravating circumstances as roadblocks, as an invitation to move into a new, more aligned direction with your authentic self. Stay connected to your divine energy rather than being distracted by drama. Notice that what's no longer good for you and just let it go. So it says your divine energy is calling you to change direction. Pray for the strength to fully move upward and onward at this time. And then your divine invitation is to be wary of feeling like the victim of others' negative behavior. That's a big one. Because that's such a waste of time. And so many people spend so much of their time in that place.
And I'm raising my hand because I've done it. I mean, I think most of us have. Of course.
Yeah. Everybody's done it. Yeah. But the thing is, once you start to recognize it, that's when you start to not stay in that space, you know?
No kidding. Yeah.
It says, it's simply time to change paths. Move up and onward and trust your divine nature to guide you because it will. Cool. I like it.
That's good. So changing tracks. Yeah. And changing tracks is, I mean, it's not something that people feel like they want to do a lot, but I think we actually do it a lot more than we realize. What the card also is saying to me is don't be afraid to do it. Don't be afraid to go with the change in tracks. Changing tracks is actually a good thing.
Right. And especially when it brings in even that little bit of nervousness, that's usually an indicator that, you're meant to move forward on this. Let yourself go, right? Yeah. It's like something's pulling you there, and it can get you little butterflies in your belly sometimes, you know? But it's like, okay. And, of course, not to get sucked into other people's negativity and other people's stories.
Yes.
Whether they're about themselves or about you.
That's a big deal because we do that not just on an individual level with people that we know and have a friendship or an intimacy of some kind with. It can also happen on the group level, on a societal level. People start getting involved in what other people are focused on in a massive way. And when that happens, it's almost like you just apply the accelerator pedal to the whole thing. Okay, now we got this situation that's not good, and we're going to make it much worse.
You know what else too, and this is a good time to talk about it, is since it's Thanksgiving and people are going to be together with family they may not have seen in a while, and a lot of times that always brings up, even like if say you lived in another state and you come home and to where you used to live, it's like it brings up these old stories and these old energies, and you start losing who you are and falling back into the old you or the old ways or the other people's stories. All of a sudden hit you and you take it on. Yeah. So one thing you want to do, if you notice this happening to you at this time, is you just want to say, you know, if you feel your energy dip, you got to say, well, whose energy is this? Is this my energy? Whose energy is this? So if you say, is it my energy? And you just feel like lighter, like, no, it's not my energy. Then you know it's not yours. And you just want to send it back to wherever it came from with consciousness. We'll add some consciousness onto it, right?
Okay.
And if it isn't, then you know, okay, then maybe that's something to examine later on. But most of the time, the way I'm speaking about it now, you're going to probably feel like, wait, it's not even my energy. What am I doing? I don't need to take that on.
Right. Yeah. You know? In fact, that kind of ties in with something that Louise likes to say. This is something she used to use when she was providing therapy services many years ago. She would especially use it with somebody who had maybe some sort of a codependent tendency, the tendency to take on other people's issues and you know, kind of wear them as their own clothing, so to speak. And the way she would teach them was, whenever you notice yourself kind of getting into that place where you're taking on somebody else's problem as if it were your own, stop and literally wipe it off of your sleeves so you can just, you know, shed it like you're shedding a skin.
Right.
And it's an interesting thing because whenever I've tried to do that, I can actually physically feel that negative energy just sliding right off.
And to like shake it off.
Yeah. Literally shaking it off.
Like a dog, shake it off.
That's right. Yeah. It's an amazing thing. But that's probably the most potent, that's not quite the right word, the most visceral time for me to notice energy. When I'm shaking off energy I don't like. I can literally feel it. I can feel my hand pushing through it and pushing it out of the way as I'm running it down.
And let me just point out that is totally you sensing energy, which you used to say, I don't know how to do.
I know. Look how far I've come. I've learned to.
Yeah, but you've always done that, Walt. You've always done that.
I know. So and what I'm saying is, I'm now aware of it. That's what I'm saying. Look how far I've come. I've developed a level of awareness that I didn't even think I'd ever have. Which is pretty cool. I like that.
But that you get to see that you always had it, because I was doing this 10 years ago, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I just didn't recognize what it was.
Right.
Which is easy overlook.
Yeah, absolutely.
Until you've identified it, how do you know what it is?
I mean, that's what awakening is all about. Just awakening into more of your truth, of the consciousness that you are and the connection you have to everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
How big and expansive that is and how much possibility exists in that energy if we would just let ourselves go there.
Yeah.
And not get stuck into that heavy smallness that we can put on ourselves.
What's cool about that's what's cool about many of the processes we do. Things like the phrase, "Isn't it wonderful? Something marvelous is happening for me now." Going through cards like we're doing today, doing rampages of appreciation. All these things attune us to. They develop our ability to sense and recognize and notice. I mean, Alex and I did a show about I'd say about a month ago on the topic of when we don't notice manifestations.
Oh, yeah.
And what we basically focused our attention on was there are so many things that happen in our lives, so many things that come to us that are truly manifestations, often of stuff that we were thinking about yesterday, and we didn't, then we forgot about them, then they showed up, and we forgot to notice that, oh, that's what we were focusing on yesterday. And if we can just get into the habit of noticing them, just don't even do anything with them, just notice them, all of a sudden we become attuned to a whole lot of things, including the higher energy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So while you were shuffling, I picked another card.
Okay.
Natural born leader.
Ooh, what was that subtext say there?
Being a leader is part of your life's path.
Oh, nice, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right. Let's see what
does it have to say?
And that's interesting too, because what was the other card? It's
well, changing tracks, but
gifts,
the first
something
one was
about the gifts was the first one.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then changing tracks. Okay, so natural born leader. It says you're born to lead others. It's part of your life's path. Your natural ability to lead others may be part of your life path. You may show signs of a true leader. A true leader is not a dictator. A true leader is a person that leads through love, compassion, example, and integrity. So that's what every one of your shows is all about.
Yep.
He has a concern for the greater good of all. Even if you have not fully stepped into your role as a leader or fully understood it, it could be an important part of your path. You may not even have tried to lead. It happens. You don't even have to try to lead. It says it happens on its own. I always kind of jump ahead as I'm reading. Here we go. A natural born leader is someone that does not have to persuade others. It is someone that just naturally leads. Someone who's trying to be in control or persuade others to follow them for their own personal gain is not a true leader.
That's true.
This card is asking you to be mindful of your duties as a natural born leader and trust that this is your life's path. Don't let others deter you from leading because of jealousy or competition. If this is not your life's path, however, you're being asked to let go of trying to be in charge and learn from another person. To let go of that control, right? And allow someone else to teach you whatever it is that is actually for you on your path,
Mm-hmm.
So it says this person has much to teach and much to share. You'll only be hindering yourself in the long run if you try to compete with them. If you join them, there's so much you can gain, learn, and contribute to humanity for the greater good of all. It's also possible to have a partnership where two or more parties are equally true leaders. You'll know when you've entered into such a partnership because the events and collaboration will be effortless and magical. You will share the same collective vision of peace, happiness, love, success, prosperity, and equality for all. All right.
Now that actually feels like what you were describing is this show.
Yes.
Because what you talked about there was exactly what my experience has been. I mean, I've made it a point to bring in people like you who know more than I do and who can teach me stuff. And I've not tried to put myself out as being any kind of a expert or a leader or whatever. I'm just a student like everybody else. And lo and behold, we now have like 450 people listening per episode. So I looked around like, wait a minute, people are following us here. What's going on?
Right. And I
that's
have to say, and probably every one of your co-hosts is the same.
Yeah.
Like I don't have all the answers.
No. I don't think I ever really had a list of criteria, but kind of on a subconscious level, I think that is a criteria for me. I want somebody who's still hungry to learn more as a co-host.
And so you see how energetically you didn't even have to define it, but it's what came for you.
It just was there. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Because
like that.
that's how energy works, man.
Yeah, I like that. You realize what we're doing here? We're actually extending the period of the rampage of energy that we started the show with. It's just been continuing here.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I like
So
that.
I'm gonna pick from the Energy Oracle deck,
Okay.
the so-called spooky deck, as some of the people I work with call it.
Well, this one also has some nice illustrations on it too.
Yeah, well, they all do. Yeah, this is the cool deck.
I mean, some of them, the people who put out the decks do a lot of work either themselves or they hire really quality artists to do the work because they're beautiful artwork.
All right, so we got the sixth chakra, Archangel Metatron, in the reverse position.
Okay.
Okay.
I didn't know there was a sixth chakra, but okay. Yeah, well, there is a sixth
sixth
chakra,
chakra,
but I didn't know it's called Metatron. Is that what you called it?
Metatron, that's the archangel that they have associated with it, at least in this part.
Okay.
So let's go to that in the reverse. Yeah. So sometimes people, like when people would pull in like meditation groups I would give, and they'd pull a card upside down, they'd be like, oh, so scared. Like, oh, I'm so scared. But sometimes I don't want to hear that one. But sometimes the upside down cards are just like the most perfect description of what's going on.
Well, from what I've noticed, among the cards that you've pulled since you and I have been doing the show together, whenever the card comes up inverted, my impression is that the card is kind of coming at you with the same message, but a little bit more strongly. Like, you need you to listen a little bit more. So it says, okay, pay attention. This is really important. Whereas when it comes up the right way, it's more lightness and fluffy. So I think the upside down is actually the stronger message.
Yeah, it depends on the card, you know. Sometimes, yeah, it just depends on it's what it is. I don't want to define it because everybody has their own different definition of that.
Okay.
Because it's different for everybody. Okay, so this card in reverse, it says, this card admonishes you to get clear. Ooh. Change tracks.
So that's pretty strong right there.
Answer gifts. I don't know. What else what was that other card? I don't remember now. Okay. It says you may have been lost in confusion and unclear or had distorted thinking. But even in this state of mental chaos, even as this state of mental chaos has been going on for quite some time, your lack of personal direction can be turned around. So it doesn't matter if you've been feeling this way for a while. It can just be turned around. Mm-hmm. Take off the blinders and widen your perspective. Visualize the life you want to live and the person you want to be and make that your intention. Now that's pretty cool because that to me goes right to speaking to just asking the questions, not having to figure out the answers. Mm-hmm. When we keep trying to figure out those answers, it keeps us stuck because we only have a limited perspective of what those answers could be.
And I'm an expert at that. I have a lot of history of trying to figure out those answers and staying stuck. And so I can tell you with authority, you don't want to be there.
Well, but it taught now that your awareness has opened up, you see that you know it in a big way that
Absolutely.
It has you expand even further.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
It hasn't been bad to have that experience. It hasn't been a waste of time or something like that.
Yeah.
Like Abraham says, you can't get it wrong. So I'm never getting it wrong.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, running your hand near a warm flame. You don't want to keep it there real long. It's hot. I got it. I'm moving my hand away.
Right. But again, it goes to like all experience serves a purpose.
Yes.
Yeah. So it says it's time to break out of the old toxic thought patterns, whether they be habits of worry, doubt, or self-criticism. It's also time to develop a clearer, healthier vision of how you perceive yourself and what you want your daily life to look like. Know that you are in charge of making it so. Meditate on Metatron's strong presence in your brow center, third eye, and see a beautiful indigo light spinning there. Affirm that you're creating a new clarity and sense of direction. You have all the power you need to create a strong personal vision that will guide you on your path. Make that a priority now. So a lot of this has been life path stuff all day.
All day long, yeah.
Or
it's like a reinforcement of what we were talking about at the top of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Talking about, like what I did with my walk and so forth. It's just reinforcing.
Yeah. And I love how that came so easily to you. And that, you should share that. I hate that word, should. if you want. You could share that on every show because that's a good process, what you did today. And it was easy for you and it lifted you and pulled you out. So it's the walk process.
The walk process. There we go.
Walking process.
Walking process. Or the walking walk process. Yeah. That's good. But there's something also that I noticed on Facebook, and I wanted to get your take on it. The person was posting in an Abraham Hicks Facebook group. And the question that she raised had to do with she's been psychic most of her life, and she had recently been having psychic stuff coming true that she didn't like very much, and she was wondering what Abraham Hicks had to say about that. And we had a long discussion, and bottom line was, well, Abraham Hicks doesn't really say a whole lot about that because they're really just talking about law of attraction and vibration. They don't really talk about psychic phenomena all that much. But I thought I'd ask you about that. Not so much what does Abraham Hicks say about it, but what can you tell her or our audience who might be interested in that topic about the connections between psychic phenomena and our understanding of and application of the law of attraction? So
how did the person put that?
She was describing how she had recently some psychic. When you see it in advance, I can't think what that's called.
Visions,
that were coming true.
Premonitions,
yeah. The premonitions that were coming true, and she didn't like what was coming true, and she wondered what Abraham Hicks had to say about that. But I'm asking you to, address that situation from a broader law of attraction topic.
Well, I mean, was it her own stuff or for other people?
She wasn't specific.
Okay, so she's saying that she's been having these premonitions, and she doesn't. And I guess they weren't so-called good premonitions because she had an opinion about the outcome of it.
Right.
So that's her trying to step in and know what there is to know about it for whoever's involved.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And, that's not her place, really, because if it was for somebody else, there's no way that she could possibly know why that person would create that. She just happened to tap into the energy of it and saw that it was coming.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe she feels like she's been seeing more of these, what she would consider to be not good. But who's to say that's not good, even though she thinks it's not good? Maybe it's the absolute best thing for whoever that just happened to, because it puts them on a different track.
Right.
It shows them maybe what their life purpose is more in line with, right?
Yeah.
So that's the tough thing, because we think everything has to be rosy and beautiful. But, it's not always that way. Sometimes there's things that jolt us so that we can actually step onto a different path. Yeah. So she's thinking it's bothering her. So maybe part of it too could be she's creating this energy loop for herself to only pick up on something she would consider negative. That's law of attraction. That could be the law of attraction part, because she's putting so much focus on it, and it's so much easier to focus on something you think is negative. We know that, right?
Sure.
So she's putting all this attention thinking that this gift of hers is showing her unpleasant things. And she probably really doesn't want that to happen, but rather than maybe working on it from a different point of view as to what is right about this, she's only seeing what she perceives to be wrong about this, when it's possible that thing she thinks is wrong or not good or not right or whatever, because it feels like she's thinking it's not a good thing that she sees that comes true.
Yeah.
There's no way she could know if that's a good thing for that person, even for herself. I mean, I'm going through some crap and I'm like, all right, but it's teaching me a lot of stuff. I'm like, okay, I get that. All right, yeah, let's learn that lesson in a different way.
Yeah.
Universe, what do I have to do to learn this lesson in a different way that's easier to me, that's done with more ease and joy and grace?
Yeah, let's leave the 2x4 with a spike behind. I'm done with that one.
Yeah, but from an energy that, like, okay, I get it. This is good. Now let's learn this let's learn another aspect of this, or in a different way.
Well, the reason I made that little joke is I think that's what you described is the benefit, because we do have a tendency when we're looking at these things we don't like to kind of beat ourselves up about them. But when we come at it in the way you were describing, now we literally are dropping the spike in the 2x4, and we're replacing it with a pat on the back, and good on you. You're learning, you're growing, you're developing, you're moving in the direction you need to go into.
Yeah. So, maybe she can ask questions like, how is this serving me and those others? To see, without having to try and figure out, to see these so-called negative aspects of what's coming up. Maybe she can ask the universe to show her more of the positive side of things that are coming up. No matter what, you don't want to squash the gift. So she just needs to find her way to work with the gift, or to be comfortable with when it shows her things that she is putting a consideration on or a point of view on. Because you know what? Sometimes it's just a point of view.
That's true.
And whose point of view? Maybe her point of view, maybe, that's another part. I mean, it can be so many things without talking to that person. Maybe the point of view she's putting to it is not even her own point of view, but the point of view of what would other people think. They wouldn't want to come to me as a psychic and only get negative stuff.
Yeah.
Like, that's a point of view, that they wouldn't want to get the negative stuff. But who knows? Maybe that person would like to know something that could be in their future so that they can learn the lesson without having to go through that experience. Maybe her gift of seeing that could help them to receive the information in another way. Because, time, it didn't happen yet. So who's to say that different things, that's not changing tracks, right?
Right.
Who's to say that if, I remember, who was it? Oh, I can't remember his name right now. Talked about doppelgangers and, maybe it'll come to me while we're still on the thing. But, there's all these different paths in front of you, right? And you can go here or there, and each one will have a different outcome. Every single step changes the story to a different, it's always being molded, right?
Right. Yeah.
So who's to say that person that she might be reading for, if that's the case, that she's doing readings, maybe that's why she's thinking she doesn't like it, because it's all negative, and she's thinking it has to be all good stuff.
I don't know. Could be.
Yeah, maybe she needs some clearing to be able to be comfortable with whatever comes through, whether they're positive images or negative, or so-called negative images. And again, I have to say so-called.
Yeah.
Because it might be my point of view that's negative, but it doesn't mean it's those people's point of view or the person it's happening to point of view.
Well, what you're saying reminds me of the fact, I've had a lot of really cool people on the show. Many of whom have various kinds of psychic abilities. But I've also known people, and I think we've all known people in my normal life, who are also psychic, and I've had conversations with them. And as I think back, there's a very consistent message that most of them, probably close to all of them, give to you before they start giving you a mediumship message or telling you about something that they saw or whatever. And that is that they're not there to teach you anything. They're not there to in any way influence you. They aren't even there to interpret the message for you. They're just telling you, this is what's coming to me. You're the one who's going to have to figure out what it's all about. And I think that goes to what you're talking about.
Yeah.
The
and
good
also,
psychic knows that it's not that psychic person's job to figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, I lost what I was going to say. You also, it's like it either resonates with you or it doesn't. So you can say to yourself, does that feel true to me? And either it does or it doesn't. You can feel it in your body.
Yeah.
Because I've gone to lots of psychics, some that I really love, but everything they've told me hasn't actually been what occurred. Right? So maybe they're tapping into a different timeline. Maybe they're tapping into something that's like 10 years in front of me, and I'm listening thinking, oh, that's like that's a year in front of me or whatever, So it's always, nobody can tell you anything for yourself. You have to decide what's true for you.
Yes. That's a big point.
So if she was worried about that, maybe she was feeling like it's not a gift for her because she doesn't want to be giving people this negative stuff all the time.
Could be.
And maybe she's just focusing on thinking she's only going to get negative stuff. And of course, then she's only going to get negative stuff, So if you're okay with it, it's like negative, positive, whatever it is, I see what I see. Spirit's showing it to me for some reason. So all I can do, my job is just to share the message. Right. And have that person receive it however they want. That's like these upside down cards when they come upside down, and the person's like, "Oh my God, it's going to be so negative." But then they hear the message and the energy behind it, and they're like, "Oh, wait a minute, well, that's not negative at all, right?" But at first glance, you might think that's negative.
Sure.
So she, as the psychic, might be thinking she's giving out something negative, whereas the person receiving it, I feel like I'm talking in circles, might be like, "Oh, that's what I needed to hear today. It's exactly what I needed to hear today."
And that's probably a large portion of it. I do believe that because I had to go through this a few times with her to really hone in on exactly what her question was, and what I finally came away from it was, I came away from it with the idea that she was looking to see what's the connection between how psychic phenomena works and what Abraham Hicks teaches. And I couldn't tell her of any particular connection because I couldn't remember any particular time that Abraham Hicks had actually talked about psychic behavior. But as I think about it, probably what you're talking about, that probably was going on in the background, particularly since she did mention that she didn't like some of the things that had happened. But I think it was probably also, she may on some level just be trying to reconcile, if I'm experiencing something psychically, is there a law of attraction component to that? And you know what? I think there probably is, because she's the person who's receiving it. So the more that she focuses on it, there's going to be something that comes out of that because she's focusing on it. So, yeah, I think there is a component. Just because Abraham Hicks doesn't actually talk about that doesn't mean there isn't a component.
Yeah. I mean, it could be so many things because like attracts like, right? Yeah. So maybe something in what that message is that she's speaking to that person, maybe it hits her as negative because she feels it somewhere within herself. You know? And within herself, she's thinking that it's negative. I don't know.
There's a lot of strength and power in just being willing to let it be what it is, because certainly from an LOA perspective, you're not going to be putting as much energy into it. You're not going to be putting as much focus on it. So this thing that you don't like very much, you're not going to reproduce again as much. You're going, okay, I got the message. There it is. I'm done. Move on. No big deal. I think it's the making a big deal out of it that actually probably creates more havoc for her than anything else.
I think a good question is, well, what's right about this? There's got to be something right about it. What's right about this? And then putting your focus more on that. Or, I mean, just asking the universe, what's right about this? You don't have to figure it out. Let the universe show you. you know? Yeah.
Well, Jeffrey actually added this to what we were talking about earlier, but it ties in very nicely with this.
Wait, this is the card. Truth.
Uh-oh. Okay.
All right.
Stay tuned, folks. We're about to have truth delivered to us.
What did Jeffrey say?
This was actually something he raised earlier, but it ties into this. He says, my question is always how, but that's the faith part of it. And that ties into what you're talking about there. Asking how all the time. How is this going to work? How do I understand this? How can I... We're just setting ourselves up. Whereas if you just let it be what it is, it'll tell you how. It'll tell you what. It'll tell you when. It'll tell you where. It'll explain the whole thing to you. You just have to do it.
So then, so that's why an easier question is, goes right back again to, how does it get any better than this?
Yeah, that's good. Turn it around.
Right?
Yeah.
How does it get any better? Well, I'll tell you a story about that. I was listening to somebody's YouTube channel, and she was talking about this phrase of how does it get any better than this? And she was mentioning that a friend of hers was in Paris, and she had one more night to stay there, and she wanted to stay in some 5-star hotel. And she didn't have a reservation or anything. She's like, don't you have a reservation? She goes, no, I'm just going to go, and I'm just going to go. Okay. So she goes, and she asks for a room, and they say that we're all booked up. And she says, how can it get any better than this? So the guy looks at her like, huh? She says, how can it get any better than this? And he goes, hold on a second. And then he goes and he gets his manager. And I don't know if he I forget now if he spoke to her a few times and she kept asking that question. So he goes to get his manager, and his manager comes in, looks at the computer and says, no, we're all booked up. We don't have any rooms available. I'm sorry, And she goes, how can it get any better than this? And the guy did? He's like, hold on a second. And he's looking through. Then he goes, well, you know what? We do have the penthouse available. And I'll give it to you for the cost of a normal room.
I love
How does it get any better than this?
It just did.
So rather than her walking out all disappointed, I never should have called for a reservation. How stupid of me to think I can go in and get a room, whatever. So she just kept doing, how can I get any better than this? And the people on the other side receiving that question were like, it's like the universe had to find a way to see how it could be any better than this.
Right, yeah.
And they're just playing along with the energy, not even knowing it, like confused by her question. And it wound up giving her better than ever.
I'm going to try that phrase. I like that one.
Yeah.
Next time I'm talking to some customer service rep or something, I'm going to say, how can it get any better than this?
Oh, I've been using it for no reason. And maybe even just, good things and bad things. Because it's easy to say that for good things.
Yeah,
how can it get any better than this?
Right.
But even like stuck in traffic, how can it get any better than this? You know, like you just ask.
I love that. That's great. Well, first of all, I love the story, but that's a great phrase.
You know, we're not here next week because I'm not doing, unless you are, but I'm not.
No. We're definitely, I'll actually get those announcements in now, both Thursday and Friday. Thursday, of course, is Thanksgiving here in the U.S., so we won't be doing a show on Thursday and Friday. We're, again, not going to do a show. So we'll have shows Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Wednesday's going to be a special Thanksgiving show. Anne-Marie and Mike, who used to co-host with me on Sundays, are going to join me, and Louise. So 4 of us are going to do a rampage of Thanksgiving, so join us for that.
Wow.
But like you say, we're not going to be doing here on Thursday and Friday, so you and I will next be talking 2 weeks from today.
Yeah. So within these next 2 weeks, let's play with how can it get any better than that? And when you notice stuff, write it down because, we forget. By the time we come on, we're like, what happened good this week? I don't know. I can't remember right now, right? Meanwhile, there's like a gazillion things happening. Okay, so truth. This is like, I can't wait to read what this wants to say about it.
I can't believe we got a truth card. That's pretty good.
Because that's it. We're all listen to what feels right for you, That's the whole conversation with the psychic woman a few minutes ago, and every other conversation.
Mm-hmm.
It all really comes down to if it's true, it feels light, and if it's not, it feels heavy. How does this feel for me? Does this feel true? Does this feel other than true? Okay, so this says, truth in a word and deed is what is required of you by drawing this marker, this card. As well as resonating with your own personal truth, it's important now to also demand the same from others. In every person, there's a vibrational energy that's accessible by slowing down and searching within to inquire, is this real? Am I hearing truth from another, or is it a lie? Am I speaking honestly myself, or am I lying to manipulate circumstances to get what I want? It's like asking for the truth, right? Mm-hmm. Remember, even a white lie will cause your light to fade and lose power. A lie takes you down into a lower vibration of the ego world, ruled by separation and limitation. And it's seduction of the lower world and serves no one but the forces of darkness. This marker reminds you to remain in the path of light. Even if it seems like a more difficult path, truth will build a bridge across a chasm. Truth will lend a magic wand of strength and integrity to everything. Truth is freedom. Yeah, that's it.
I like that. Yeah, and I like the fact that, I don't know if you realize this, but that tied in perfectly with the previous story. Because in that story, she just kept asking the same question over and over again. How can this get any better? And most people are truthful. And most people, I think, respond to truthful. Yeah, we get hooked up in watching all the stuff we don't like and so forth. But I think at our heart, at our root, we all prefer truth. We know on some level that truth is better for us, especially our own truth. And what the card is basically saying is the same thing as what that phrase appealed to. That phrase, how can this get any better, was appealing to the true side of the people that she was saying it to. And so even though they were confused by it, they said, well, there's got to be some truth in that.
Right.
How can I find what the truth is in that?
You know?
Yeah.
How can this get any better?
How can this get any better? Well, I don't know, but let's find out. That's almost what they were saying. They didn't actually say that, but it's as if they said, I don't know, but let's find out.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
That's truth. That's really good truth right there.
And
I like that.
Truth is that we are infinite, expanded beings who are abundant in every single way. Mm. That's truth. Mm-hmm. And all the other stuff is just in the way of it.
Yeah.
So, that's why if something's going on, you're just like, does this feel true? See, you got to see how it feels in your body. If you feel lighter, it's true. If you feel heavier, No.
Yeah, actually what we're really doing is we're equating truth with liking. Liking and preferring are equivalent to truth the way we're using it right now.
Yeah, or sometimes it's not even a logical thing that you can connect. It's just a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
You just feel somehow it opens up space for you. It feels lighter.
Yeah.
Whatever this is that you're asking, well, what is this truth? Is this true? You know?
And we know it's not like we have to look for it. We know instantly. Pose the question. It's not like we have to wait for the answer. You know, it's not like, well, geez, am I going to attract an answer to the question, is this feeling true? No. All you have to do is ask the question, and instantly you have a feeling about it. You just know.
Yeah. Right. So actually, what I'm hearing right now is this is what we need to teach this to the little kids, because someone will come up to them and say, "You're lazy," or "You're ugly," or "You're stupid," right? So, and most of the time, the child will give their power away to that. Sort of, because we don't know. We're not taught to say, "Well, is that true?" No, that's not true. You know, and I'm not going to own it and carry it with me the rest of my life.
I was fortunate when I was in junior high school to have a particular social studies teacher who, she taught it as critical thinking, but the way, in terms of the way she explained it, but what she was actually teaching was, does it feel true to you? Just along the lines of what you're talking about now.
Nice.
If you reach inside, does what this X is, does this X actually ring true? Because if it does, then you know it's true. And if it doesn't, you know it's not. And don't let anyone tell you different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
I like that.
So, and hopefully there are a lot of teachers, both official teachers and unofficial teachers, who are teaching the same thing to children and adults today. I hope more and more people are getting that message.
Yeah.
I know we give it. So anyone who's listening to the podcast today, you're getting the message. We appreciate that. By the way, I want to take a moment, too, for people who are not yet subscribers. Most of the people are subscribers. And like I was mentioning earlier, Linda, did I give you numbers? I don't know if I told you what the numbers are, but I tallied them up today. We're averaging 450 listeners per show.
Wow.
Yeah, which is a huge increase. From like a year ago this time, we were averaging around 175. So, I mean, it's been a big, big leap this year.
Yeah.
And so, first of all, I'm trying to get the message out, which with each of my shows recently, I really am appreciative of the recent subscribers. I love the subscribers who've been with us for a long time. Without you, we wouldn't have had a show to carry on all this time, and we really appreciate you. But I especially want to do the shout out to people who have recently become subscribers. And I want to encourage you guys to do the same thing that I've encouraged to our longtime subscribers to do, and that is send us messages. You know, send us an email. Go to our website and use the contact form. Send us something by Facebook or tweet something to us or whatever. Because we love, first of all, we love hearing from listeners. Second of all, we love responding to listeners. You know, so if you just give us a hurrah, we'll say thank you for the hurrah. If you ask us a question, we'll answer the question. If you're dealing with something, we'll help you deal with the something. If you just want to talk about the victory, then we'll share the victory. But please do contact us and let us know what's going on, because, or join us on the live stream, in fact, because Jeffrey's actually our most loyal live stream participant, and we include him, and we include others who join us on the live stream. We include their commentary in what we're talking about as well, so join us there. But it all comes down to becoming a subscriber. So, first and foremost.
I want to add to that, and thank you to those subscribers who have been sharing the show and probably bringing a lot of those new subscribers.
Absolutely. Thank you for pointing that out. Yes, I agree completely. That's invaluable. But of course, in order to do that, you have to be a subscriber first. So become a subscriber by going to loatoday.net. You'll find instructions at the top. Very easy to do. Our newest co-host Dan Mangana said it took him one click to do. So I guess we've got it down as pretty easy as we can make it. And then also go to our YouTube page. Actually, just go to YouTube and do a search for LOA Today podcast videos. We'll pop right up, and then you can actually watch us because we live stream these to YouTube as we are recording them. You can watch us, and you can like us there and click the little bell so that you get notified every time that we are live streaming or that we have posted a video. And then follow us either through the video channel or just through the audio channel like 95% of the listeners do. But whichever you do, please do subscribe. because you'll be helping us, first of all, to grow our numbers, and we're getting larger and larger and larger. And more importantly, you'll be getting your share of the Daily Dose of Happy. And that, to me, is actually much more important. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. My ego loves the fact that the numbers are growing. But I also know the much bigger thing is every single person that we're reaching out to and helping them get their energy up just because we're talking about this stuff. I know the world is getting better because of that. And that makes me feel good.
Yeah.
That keeps me going. So Thank you guys who are all subscribers. We really appreciate you. And welcome to the new subscribers.
Mm-hmm. All right. And happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving.
Those who are celebrating.
Jeffrey had one last message just to share. I figure we can wrap up with this one. He says, what if we are vibrating at a high level and we feel something to be true, and so we live our life like it's true, as taught by Neville Goddard, among others. But reality, the perspective of others, says that it isn't so. So that's a good question.
The only truth that matters is your own truth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, then you're just getting back to giving your power away to those outside of you. Mm-hmm. Right? Just because they're misguided because they don't know your truth, but you know your truth. I think no matter what, you got to stick to your truth, because if you pull away from it and you deny yourself your own truth, you're only going to create misery for yourself.
Yeah, that's true.
Like celebrate your weirdness, uniqueness, individuality, whatever that might be. Whether some people like it or don't like it, that's their problem.
Exactly.
You don't have to push yourself on other people.
No.
They have the choice to either accept or not accept, but what they think really ultimately shouldn't really make a huge impact, because you have to know within your heart what is your truth. When you know within your heart what is your truth and you live your truth, only good things can come about. The things that aren't good, I really do feel, and I feel like I've seen that, just start to fall away. They just fall away.
At an amazingly quick pace, I might add. I mean, when you are being true to, like you say, your truth, when you're allowing your own truth to resonate within you and say, yeah, that's what I believe, that's what I feel, that's what's important to me. Just the act of focusing on that. If there was something else that was bugging you, all of a sudden, first of all, I find sometimes I can't even remember what that thing was. It's like all of a sudden I lost track of what that thing was that I was so upset about. But even if I still have a memory of it or recall that I was focused on it, somehow it's no longer as important. It's like the importance of it just kind of dried up, all because I just tapped inside and said, does that feel true to me? No, not really. Okay, well, what does feel true to me? Well, this feels true to me. Oh, okay. What was the thing I was worried about again? I can't remember anymore.
Yeah.
So, also, before we go, I want people to remember where to find Linda Armstrong, both on YouTube and in general. So tell them how to reach out to you as a coach.
Yeah, lovemylife.coach. Everything you need to know is there. You can even hook into my YouTube channel right from the first page. I've got a couple of videos listed. My blog has videos on there.
A couple videos? You have like a couple thousand. I mean, you have quite a few videos.
But there's a little panel on the home.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It'll show like the last 3 recent videos.
Oh, I gotcha.
So you can click on those. So it's all over. The website has everything.
And your YouTube channel is like an endless library of stuff that you've shared. So, I mean, literally, they could probably just kind of do a random thing and type in a word and it'll come back with whatever the video is that they need, because you have so much material out there.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I haven't put anything up there in like 2 weeks. I feel like I've been away for a year.
I have a feeling that's going to change real soon. But thank you so much for all your insights. Thank you for the card pulling. We got some good ones there. We got truth today. How about that?
It's cool. I think really cool. I love the way they're all, at least I feel like they're all tied together, and there was a contribution to the whole entire show from each one of them.
Yeah. That
kind of really, truly is where we started with,
It truly is.
Like, what was it? Honoring your gifts.
Mm-hmm.
And look, and there we end with whatever, I don't know what it was that Jeffrey might be referring to, that other people may not accept or whatever, but the first card was about honoring your life path and your gifts, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Good stuff. All right. Thank you, Linda. I hope you have a wonderful holiday. Thank you to our live stream listeners, especially to Jeffrey, and also thank you to our podcast listeners as well. We'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.